Pokemon Sword is one of the easiest games of all time. So I wondered, how can I make this game harder on myself? A Nuzlocke? Nah, a grass only Nuzlocke. You see, if you didn't already know, grass is one of my favorite types within Pokemon. So, why not do a Nuzlocke with only grass types? Like, what could possibly go wrong? Because almost everyone knows how the story of this game goes, let's get straight into the starter selection. And of course I'm gonna go and pick Grookey. It's a grass lock after all. Which means Hop gets Sabo, and then I proceed to curve stomp Hop into the ground for making such a terrible decision. When are we gonna go back to the good old days of rivals? Blue, I miss you so. Shortly after, we met Big Doggo, which I didn't give all that much about because it wasn't a grass type. And then I finally met Sonia. I got something she can research right here if you know what I mean. And it can Dynamax alright. uh, anyways, shortly after I got my first capture in the form of C-Dot that I named Shogun for obvious reasons. And oh look! Another hop battle! Damn, Hop, I think you should reconsider taking on the gym challenge. You're kinda ass. Ooh, hey look, the wild area. Okay, let me explain how this is gonna work. You see, I'm only allowing myself one Pokemon in the wild area and an additional encounter after each gym. Only because certain Pokemon overlap with the same section depending on the weather. So with this rule, I'm allowing myself to basically catch multiple Pokemon in the same area, but not any of the same species that I previously caught. Now, our first encounter for the wild area is a Bounsweet that I named Juicy, which is basically useless as of right now, but it's gonna become a real powerhouse later down the line. Okay, some important stuff happens, but to keep it short, I chose my outfit number, which I picked the first grass type Pokemon Dex entry number, aka Bulbasaur, number 001 himself. We ran into Sonia, yet again, beat up some random fans of another gym challenger named Marnie, and last but not least, was introduced to almost all the gym leaders. Okay, is there anything else that I'm forgetting about? Huh. I swear there was something else, but I just can't remember. Okay, well, time to move on. On my way to the first gym, I got myself a Glossofer that I named Puff, easily defeated gym challenger Bead. I also picked up a Badoo that I named Ivy, and grabbed a Leaf Stone to evolve Shogun into a Swift Tree. Now, it was finally time to take on the first gym. Now that we're at the first gym, let me explain some of the rules that I've added, of course. First off, no potion spamming. Even though it's a normal Nuzlocke and I'm allowed to use potions, I feel like potion spamming is kind of cheesing it, so I'm only allowing myself one potion per Pokemon. And of course, if a Pokemon faints, it's dead, it can no longer be used. And that's basically it. Oh yeah, and if I wipe, that is the end of the one. Now, let's get into this. Milo starts off the battle by sending out his Philosopher, and with a couple of air cutters from Shogun, I easily took care of it. Now, up next was his ace, Eldragoss, and honestly, with a couple of max airstreams, it was easily taken care of as well. And there we go, my first gym badge. On the way to the second gym, I picked up Bumble the Snover and Newton the Yaplin. I went through a long ass cutscene which I honestly wish I could have skipped, and now it was finally time to take on the second gym. First up was Nessa's Godin, which was easily taken care of by Shogun's Fake Out and Leaf Blade combo. Then she sent out her Aracuda, but with a single Leaf Blade, it was enough to take it down. Now, she sent out her ace, Dreadnought. But honestly, with a few max overgrowths, it was easily taken care of. Second gym badge acquired. Okay, now that we're two gym badges in, I really need to lock in for the third. Because most of you already know, the third gym's typing is fire, which is pretty bad for my team, if you couldn't tell. But don't worry, I'm making my way over to the Isle of Armor to pick up Orchid the Fomantis, which is probably going to be flatter, and Wildvine the Tangela, which I instantly evolve alongside Ivy because, well, I'm going to need all the manpower I need for this upcoming gym. Because, it's probably going to be a bloodbath. There was some side stuff, but nothing really important, so I'm just going to skip it. And now, it was finally time to take on the man of fire himself, Kabu. Kabu leads with his Ninetales while I sent out Ivy. Knowing that Kabu would most likely go for a Will-O-Wisp here, I have Ivy set up a layer of Toxic Spikes, while Kabu had his Ninetales go for a Will-O-Wisp, as I expected. Now, I switched it to Orchid to let it go down to get a free switch into Shogun. Ninetales used Will-O-Wisp while Shogun's Lumberry got rid of the burn. Now, I had Shogun go for Retaliate, which did over half of Ninetales' health. Knowing that Ninetales was most likely going to go for another Will-O-Wisp, I had Shogun go for an Air Cutter to finish off the fox, but unfortunately, it lived. Knowing that I would need Shogun for later on, I switched into Puff to heal Shogun from the burn, while Ninetales burned Puff. The next turn, I made a choice to, unfortunately, sack off Rod in order to get a clean switch on Ninetales, so Ivy could finish it off with a Shadow Ball. Up next was Kobu's Arcanine, so I sent out Shogun to pick it out and use Retaliate to get as much damage off that I could. But because of the newly inflicted burn and Intimidate from earlier, it wasn't enough. So knowing what was coming next, I had Shogun go for one last Air Cutter, and then... yeah, that one hurt. Shogun has been our MVP since, well, the beginning. And losing him here almost made me want to give up. But I pushed forward and sent out Puff to protect, while the poison does its job and finishes off the Arcanine. Now, it was finally time for a Scorch. We both Dynamaxed our Pokemon, and I went for a Max Guard too. Huh. Yeah, I didn't know the fill chance carries over from the Protect, so, anyways, I have Puff go for a Max Guard to waste another Dynamax turn. But unfortunately, Puff goes down to a combination of Burn and the after effects of G-Max Sentinferno. Okay, I still have a chance. Let's go. To waste Scorch's last turn of Dynamax, I sent on Ivy to get as much damage as I can as possible with a Shadow Ball. But in the process, Ivy also goes down. Okay. Now my only chance on winning lies in the vines of Wildvine. I go for an Ancient Power and hope Puff's Cotton Downs would pay off, and it did. I won the match. It was finally over. Okay, that gym annihilated my team. But Wildvine gave us... no. The whole team gave us another chance. And after doing some research, I finally caught myself a new squad. And to test it out, I beat the crap out of Hop. Nothing like beating the crap out of Hop, right? So joyous to beat the crap out of basically a copycat of the last rival. Okay, now with that settled with, it was finally time to take on the next gym. Now, it was finally time to take on the woman that can crush your head with her Wait a minute. How old is Bede? Yeah, I'm no Minecraft YouTuber, so let's get straight into the battle. Bede leads was Hitmontop boss and a Wildvine, and after a few growths, Bede's whole team dropped like flies. That was until her Machamp hit the field. But honestly, after Wildvine stalled out the Dynamax turns, I just had to set out Newton, and that was that. Gym Edge number 4 acquired. Okay, to keep things short, I met up with Sonia yet again, beating the crap out of Twinkle Toes here, and learned that the Sword and Shield were actually Pokemon. Now, it was finally time to take on the 5th gym. But first, how? How are you alive right now? How are you physically living without being in water? Like, I understand in battle, it's a short period of time, but you're living up there. How are you not dying? How? You're supposed to be like gasping for air right now. How? How are you not dead? How? Please. You are defying the laws of logic. Okay? Even Arceus can't even comprehend. How are you even alive? He's probably up there right now saying, huh, that's a little oopsie, but oh well. No, it's... How are you alive right now? How? Ignoring whatever that anomaly is that's going on. Let's start the battle. Honestly, this gym wasn't all that hard. Having Brute Woo made this gym a lot easier. With a combination of Energy Ball, Max Ooze, and a few other moves, I just absolutely dominated this gym. Huh. I guess that's the 5th gym badge. Okay, so some side stuff happens, but it's really not all that important. Unless you count battling Hop important, but we all know where that goes, so let's just get into the next gym. After traversing through the maze of eternal pain, it was finally time to battle Gordy. Gordy leads with Barbarico while I send out Wildvine. Gordy almost always goes for a Shell Smash here, so this was a free kill with an Energy Ball. Up next was Shuckle. So I switched into Gaia to set up spikes and stealth blocks for later, then proceeded to crush the bug with a heavy slam. Up next was Stone Junior, and with a single energy buff from Brute, it was easily dispatched of. Now, it was time for his Colossal. And for this, I decided to send out Samba here to waste 2 of Colossal Dynamax turns. Now, with Colossal only having 1 Dynamax turn left, I decided to Dynamax Wildvine to use a Max Guard to waste its last turn of Dynamax. And then absolutely obliterate Colossal with a Max Rock Fall. And there we go. 6 gym badge acquired. So some stuff happened on the way to the next gym. I finally got a date with Sonia, which was interrupted by Hop, so I beat the crap out of him. Finally got my water bike, battled Marnie yet again, and now it's time to take on the 7th gym. After experiencing a concert without any voice acting, it was finally time to battle Piers. Yeah, this battle wasn't really all that hard. Juicy took care of both Grafty and Malamar's Ease, and for the Obstagoon and Skuntank, well, you see, Gaia just body pressed, and yeah, that was that. 7th gym badge acquired. Now, it was time to take on the final gym. Yeah, the in-between from the 7th and 8th gym is kinda short, so let's get straight into the battle. Okay, you see, I had a game plan for this gym, and it's for Imposter here to basically tank every single incoming attack, so Juicy can just triple axle and low kick everything in sight. And that was a good strategy on paper. But in battle, yeah, that took the turn for the worse. I totally forgot that Sandstorm raises the defensive stats of ground, rock, and steel types. And, yeah, the
battle was taking longer, the triple axles weren't hitting as much, and yeah, it got to the point where I just had to bring out Wildvine, so let's just get to that point already. Immediately after switching to Wildvine, Flygon went down to a triple axle from Juicy. Well, he sends out his Sanda Cobra, which easily gets dispatched stuff with an Energy Ball from Wildvine. Now, it was time for his Drillodon. And for this, I brought Imposter back out into the field to redirect the attacks, while Wildvine took care of the Gigalith with an Energy Ball. And now that it's only his Drillodon in the field, I brought Brute out to Gigantamax it, to take it out with a Max Quake. And there we go. Our last gym badge acquired. Okay, after obtaining my final gym badge, I caught and leveled up some of the Pokemon I had in box, just in case I need them for later on. Now, it was finally time to take on the Champion Cup. My first opponent for the Champion Cup was Marnie. She uses Liepard while I sent out Juicy. A single play rough from Juicy was enough to take out the Liepard, and up next was a Toxicroak. So I switched into Gaia to set up some layers of spikes and stealth blocks, and after a few iron defenses, Gaia proceeded to crush the Frog with a body press. Following that up was a match between Marnie's Scrafty and my Newton, and with a few acrobatics, Scrafty was taken care of. Up next was a Morpeko, which was easily taken care of with an Earthquake by Wildvine. Now, it was time for a Grimmsnarl. For this, I brought out Brute and we both Gigantamax. And with a couple of Max Oozes later, I won the match. My next challenger is Hop, and annihilating him one last time is gonna feel so good. The battle begins, and it was pretty normal at first. I sent out Bartholomew, got off a few anchor shots to take out Dubwo, but that was when the bloodbath started to begin. You see, I sent out Gaia to set up some few iron defenses, and I think everyone knows where this is going. That's right, pure body press annihilation. One by one, each of Hop's Pokemon started to fall. Even his Dynamax and Inteleon wasn't enough to handle the body press. And there we go. Our final Hop battle over. After taking out the garbage, I did some side stuff like hide and go find the grunt and beating the crap out of this madwoman. We also saw that the chairman may or may not be evil, but not really our problem, so let's just move on. Our next Champion Cup challenger is B, and honestly, we all know where this is going. I threw Iron Head on Gaia and just steamrolled through his team. That was until his Hatterene hits the field, but Blue easily took care of that with a few Max Oozes. Now, it was time for our next challenger. And yeah, it's the same thing. After a few iron defenses, body press, body press, body press. Oh look, body press! Yeah, let's fucking go. Yeah, it was a body press annihilation yet again. Okay. The next battle was not gonna be a body press, right? Oh hey look, something I can't body press annihilate. Okay. Well, I sent out Livewire to take care of the Lucha, and then I sent out Newton to Dragon Dance, and yeah, this was Body Press Annihilation 2.0. I just acrobatics everything. Okay, these setup moves are, kind of busted. Anyways, now it's time to go into the semifinals to have our rematch against Raihan. I had Brute take care of both of Raihan's turtles with ease, while Juicy took care of both of Raihan's overgrown lizards. Now, it was time for Raihan's... Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Brute just obliterated Duraludon with... It was just like last time. It just Max Quake. Easy. No diff. Honestly, this Champions Cup's kind of easy. I guess we're moving on to the champion, I guess. Okay. Now, it was finally time to battle Leon, and... Yeah, never mind. Turned out Rose was actually evil and I have to stop him now. After doing a side quest to get this rusty ass sword and shield, Rose thought he could stop us from helping Leon and yeah, anyways, after that, Truffle here obliterated Turnitus, and he didn't like that all that much, so he went full Digimon on our asses. The legendary doggos appeared. We lost some unfortunate souls in the chaos. Oops. And Big Bang Womp and Turnitus defeated, and the doggos flew off into the sunset. Okay, now with that dealt with, I talked with some of my friends on who I should bring with me into this battle, and after a bit of time and some damage calcs, I was finally ready to battle Leon. The battle kicks off with Leon leading with his Aegislash while I sent out Gaia to set up a max layers of spikes and stealth rocks. I then proceeded to use payback on Leon's Aegislash to take it out of commission. Up next was Cinderace, that took massive damage from the spikes and stealth rocks that Gaia set up earlier. No, I decided for Newton to bait in acrobatics into Gaia so Iron Barbs could do some more damage on Cinderace. Knowing what was going to happen to Gaia next, she took one for the team. Now, thinking that Livewire could outspeed the rabbit, I sent it out, but it went down to a Pyro Ball. Yeah, so you see, before going into this battle, a friend of mine told me that Rotom was not gonna outspeed Cinderace, and I kinda didn't listen to him. So, anyways, I sent out Truffle here that I was trying to save for Dragapult to put the rabbit to sleep once and for all. Now, up next was Haxorus that Brew took care of for Z's, but shortly after, Leon's Dragapult hits the field. Okay, so for Dragapult, my game plan was to still use Truffle's Spore, but I needed to heal it, so I sacrificed Newton to heal up Truffle and to get a clean switch on Dragapult. And with a single Spore and Moonblast later, the lizard was taken care of. After that, Leon set out his Seismitoad, but Boo Boo O-coded with an Energy Ball. Now, it was time for Leon's Charizard. The Stealth Rocks from earlier did massive damage to Charizard, but unfortunately, both Bartholomew and Truffle went down to Charizard, trying to do something, anything, to slow it down, but it was in vain. With only Brute Root left, I Gigantamaxed it to stall Charizard's last turn of G-Max. Knowing what was going to happen next, I clicked Max Ooze in the hope that... Wait, Charizard missed its move? There's still a chance! I can... There you go. That was my grass-only Nuzlocke, and to be honest, I'm really not all that mad with the outcome, because I had fun doing it. But don't worry, this is not the end of my journey. I will continue on to prove that grass types are not to be trifled with, and where my journey goes, only time will tell.